In this video, I'm going to talk about landlord. Are they scumbags? Really? Like, I think a lot of people have this opinion. I'm a landlord myself. I'm not a scumbag. So I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about, no, realistically, why people think this, what the actual reality of being a landlord is, someone who's buying and renting out property, and and why that this kind of attitude is the attitude that's going to keep you broke. I'm John from bulldogmindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to build the physique you want, how to get the girls that you want, and how to go from the victim mindset to what I call the bulldog mindset, which is rooted in Stoic philosophy. If that is something that you are interested in, click that subscribe button and join us on this journey. So he says here, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be a slave to a landlord. Capitalism is destroying all of our lives, and there is no reason to put yourself into more financial trouble than necessary. Landlords are scumbags, and jobs do not pay fair wages anymore, enough to afford to buy a house. So do what you can, stay strong. It's kind of funny that people have this viewpoint, and it really comes from just ignorance, from not understanding things, okay? So, and this is, like I said, this is the kind of thinking that makes you broke and keeps you broke. If you think this, if you think that landlords are scumbags, that capitalism is harming you, okay, that jobs don't pay a fair wage for you to buy a house or whatnot, and you feel like you're a victim of all of these things, what I call the victim mindset, it's going to hold you back. You're not going to succeed in life with that attitude. I've never seen someone that has that attitude actually make money, okay? It's not conducive to doing that, because you're going to be giving up all your power and all your responsibility. Most landlords are not making money on their properties, okay? They're investing for the long term. And I know this because that was me for a long time, okay? Most landlords that you rent a property from, they are paying more than you are, okay? You might be renting out that property, but it's not going in their pocket. Many times, especially in expensive real estate markets, they're paying more than what you're paying them, right? So let's say that you're paying $1,500 a month rent, okay? A lot of times, that landlord is going to take that $1,500 a month that they're getting from you, okay? And they're going to pay on a $2,000 a month mortgage, okay? Where they're going to actually take the $1,500 plus $500 from their own pocket, okay? And pay $2,000 every month, so that's going to be costing them $500 a month. The reason for doing this, and why it still would be a good investment, is because it's for the long term. Most landlords are thinking about the long term because they know that in 15 or 20 years, right, that it's going to be profitable, that the rents are going to go up over time, the mortgage is probably going to stay the same, right, the value of the property is going to go up, they're going to be able to depreciate that property and make some money, they're going to be paying down the principal, eventually paying off that loan, and so it's a smart decision in that regard. But I just want you to understand that most of the time, most landlords are not making money. In fact, I spent years of my life paying into properties, all right? It's a huge headache and it's a huge hassle. I spent most of my real estate investing career, when I was getting started out especially, where I was paying money out of my pocket. There was one point where I was paying $3,000 a month in the hole on, I think I had like 6 or 7 properties. Like in totality, I was putting in $3,000 a month from my own pocket in order to pay these properties, to be able to pay these mortgages. If I were investing today, I wouldn't go in the hole that far, but it was still a good decision. It was still a smart decision, but it was a huge sacrifice. Imagine, paying an extra $3,000 a month, how much that affects you, right? I was living extremely frugally because I was investing in my future, right? I wasn't some greedy ass landlord trying to take advantage of people. I was making huge sacrifices, and I think most investors, most landlords are. Not all of them, of course, but most of them, are like that. I worked a regular job. I didn't have a lot of money to start with. It wasn't like I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth and my dad gave me a whole bunch of money to invest in real estate. I had nothing. My dad was in the Air Force. I started off basically as an adult with debt, with college debt, just like most of you have, right? And I paid that off myself, but I didn't have any money, okay? I just worked a regular job, all right? I had a decent job as a software developer, But I took that money and I put that into real estate. Okay, I wasn't like a landlord. I was a dude working a job. Okay, that took his paycheck and bought property with that to invest. Okay, that's how most landlords are. I think a lot of people, they think of landlords as some rich old white man that just has all this money, and maybe there's some of that, but I know a lot of landlords. I know a lot of people that are investing in real estate, and I'll tell you that most of them just have regular jobs and they're just scraping by. They're just taking the money that they can because they're wise, because they want to create a better future for themselves, right? To be able to eventually build passive income, which is what my goal was, right? Which I eventually accomplished. Jobs pay fair wages. If your job doesn't pay you enough money, you need to increase your skills, all right? I did this video with Dan Locke. You can check out the video here on high income skills, all right? We talked about this. I talked about this extensively with Dan, because a lot of times, a lot of my friends, entrepreneur friends, we talk about, like, how do we solve these problems for people? How do we help people, right? Because that's a lot of what we do, is to help people to be able to invest, to make more money, to be able to be more successful. I help my coaching clients all the time with this kind of stuff, and you guys that are subscribers to the channel. And so one of the big things is to understand that if you're not making enough money from your job, get a higher income skill. That's kind of the beauty of capitalism, is that the more in demand your skill is, the higher your skill is, the more beneficial it is to an employer, the more that they're going to pay you. Okay, if someone's not paying you enough money, it's because you're not skilled enough, or because there's so much of your skill set that it's not rare enough. There's so many people that are willing to work for that and to have that skill set. So your answer to that situation is you need to improve it. Okay, if you believe that you're not being paid fairly, you're not going to improve your situation. Other thing I'll say about this is there's no need to buy a house, even if you can afford it. Okay, we're all slaves, not to a landlord, but to our own need for shelter. We're always in debt. Building passive income is the way out. Okay, so that's the thing you need to understand, is, like, I think a lot of people think that, oh, they should be buying a house. You shouldn't be buying a house necessarily. Even me as a landlord, someone who owns a lot of property, I rent quite often. Okay, right now I happen to own the house that I'm living in, but I've rented before, and I would rent. I don't make the decision to rent whether or not I can afford it. I make it based on whether or not it's a good investment to buy the property or not. Okay, and so buying a property should not be your end goal. Okay, that's not what you need to do, right, in order to get wealthy. Instead, you should be investing. Okay, investing makes sense. Owning your own house doesn't mean shit. I don't have any problem paying rent to another landlord. It's great. It's fine if they're providing me the value that I need for and it doesn't make sense for me to invest in that situation. When you buy a house, you tie up a lot of capital. Okay, when you buy a house, there's a lot of other responsibilities. So, there's a myth, I think, for a lot of you guys that think that you need to buy a house. Okay, and that only rich landlords are the ones who buy houses and no one else can because they're not being paid a fair wage. It's ridiculous. You don't need to be paid enough money to, quote, buy a house, especially in some of the most expensive cities, right? I hear this all the time from people that live in San Jose and San Francisco and New York, and I'm like, why the fuck do you think that you need to buy a house there? You don't need to buy a house. Okay, you can rent. It's not a big deal, all right? You can buy a house in the Midwest. Do that, right? If you want to move out there, fine, but otherwise, buy a house and rent it out. That will increase your financial, your financial ability in the future and build you some passive income. If you're not happy with your situation, fighting against capitalism, calling that being evil or corrupt, is not your solution, okay? Yeah, maybe socialism would equalize things, okay, but it would put everyone at just above the poverty level. It would make it so that you cannot change your situation, all right? Communism and socialism, although you might think that those are good things, they basically would take away the incentive in life for you to be able to improve, okay? The reason why a lot of you hate capitalism, okay, and you embrace these ideas like socialism is because you feel like you can't actually climb the ladder. Right? That's why I'm creating these videos. That's why I'm helping you guys to show you how you can climb the ladder, because I think once you believe and once you understand that you can actually climb the ladder, that you can actually achieve this level of success, then you see that capitalism is really the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to humankind, because it's allowed us to actually change our levels. Before capitalism existed on this planet, if you were born as a poor person, you lived as a poor, there was no way that you could change your social structure, right? That you could actually go up a class level, or very, very rare, okay? Nowadays, anyone can become rich. Anyone can become a millionaire. Okay, anyone. It doesn't matter what you're born into. It doesn't matter what your parents, who your parents were. You can develop the education. You can go out. You can do the work. You can build a business. You can invest. You can become, successful even if you don't invest. Even just from a job, just from education, you can go and learn and get a job. You have this opportunity, and capitalism is what offers you that opportunity. If you haven't already, take the Bulldog Mindset quiz. It's going to give you an idea of where you stand on this, what your mindset is, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.